Hello class, I am going to do a PowerPoint presentation on the do's and don'ts of presenting a PowerPoint presentation. So hold on tight, pay attention, and let's go through these slides. All right, let's first address PowerPoint etiquette. Some of the big things that you want to do as you design your PowerPoint presentation is to remember your audience and to remember, don't read from each of your slides. Don't sit there and kind of stare at the screen and read from the slides. Make sure you make eye contact, engage with your audience. Don't overload your presentation. Don't add a lot of pictures. Don't add a lot of language. Don't add a lot of animation. You want to be straight to the point, small bullet points, and then that gives you the opportunity to elaborate on what you want the slide to cover from everyone hearing your voice and your commentary based on the bullet points that you make. Again, use animation sparingly. You don't want a whole bunch of animation sliding in and distracting your audience from the main points of your presentation. Those things can be overwhelming for the audience and distract from the points that you're trying to make for your presentation. As mentioned, don't use a lot of text. Too much text in a slide makes it difficult to see because you're going to scrunch all the information in, and the audience won't be able to read the slides, and they're not going to have any value for the information that you're trying to present. Don't make your audience read from the slides. Don't present a slide and just have it up there and say, all right, let's look at these statistics. Your thing is that you are the presenter. You want to be able to describe everything that's on each of the slides. And by all means, proofread. Proofread and practice your presentation. You want to assure that your audience is aware of what you're trying to represent from your slides, from the pictures that you may add to it, and from the text that you may have in each of the slides and the headings. So by all means, make sure that all of those things add up, line together, and create an overall presentation that is going to be beneficial, engaging, and very exciting for the audience. All right, so let's jump into some of the do not do's in slideshow presentations. The first one is a distracting background environment. So let's look at what that would look like in the next skit that we will perform. Okay, guys, I just put on a jacket over it, but I just want to show you a skit, what it will look like and how it represents you if you have a distracting background when you're representing your PowerPoint presentation. Hi guys, I am Jennifer and I am doing a presentation on breastfeeding, and the title is Breastfeeding versus Formula. Is it beneficial? So again, I am doing my presentation from, oh sorry, I'm so sorry guys, I thought I had that on vibrate. Give me 1 second. Let me call you right back. Sorry. Okay, so the topic is about breastfeeding and some of the benefits that is related to the topic. I told you I was going to be recording. No. Come here. Sorry, my dogs are... Anyway, so the benefits of breastfeeding and how they're going to, how it is effective for breastfeeding versus, sorry, my dog is so scared. So how it's effective with breastfeeding and how the interest is shared with the other individuals. So this is a topic that is very informative and is very important to know the benefits of breastfeeding and versus formula feeding, because it is very helpful for the patient, which is the baby, as well as the mother. The question that I had is breastfeeding. Is it better than bottle feeding? And what are the true benefits for choosing breast over formula? The two justifications that I had was, sorry, I need to change environments. The two justifications that I had were, wait. sorry, the two justifications. Why is this topic interesting to me, and the research that was available for it? The justifications for this particular topic were, I'm so sorry. Turn it down. While the world pushes physical perfection, pressuring you to chase the eye's approval. Sorry. Okay, I'm just going to put a pin in that right there because you can see that was very distracting. You want to make sure you have your phone on vibrate or even silent, because sometimes vibrate can be just as distracting. If you have pets and animals, put them away. Let your family know that you're going to be recording. Turn the music down. Turn the TV off. Anything that's going to be a distractor, make sure you eliminate all of those outside sounds. If you need to move around to a place that is going to be more comfortable in the middle of your presentation, is not the time to do that. Make sure you find a place that is going to be a quiet place and you feel great with the area that you are going to be setting up and doing your presentation. Just some food for thought. Let's move into the next one. Don't do that. Don't have a distracting background. Distracting pictures. All right, having too many pictures is definitely a distractor. Pictures are an asset to the slideshow, but it's not the center of the slideshow. So make sure you just add pictures sparingly. Just maybe one picture per slide will be very beneficial. Or if you have some graphs or data that you wanted to add, you just want to make sure it's not overwhelming the text and that you're still able to follow the slideshow presentation even with the pictures. Also in this distracting pictures, I think it's important to really highlight not to add all the sounds that you can have in presentations, even though it seems pretty cool. You don't want all your introductions, all your words boomeranging in or sliding up from the bottom, because again, the entire presentation is about the information that you're trying to deliver to the audience, not all of the distractors that could be in the background. So let's look at what it would look like to have a distracting picture presentation. Is this recording? Is it ready yet? Oh, okay. Is breastfeeding versus formula feeding beneficial? By Jennifer. Is this recording? Are we ready? Oh. Is breastfeeding versus formula feeding beneficial? By Jennifer. In the corner, you can see a breastfeeding family, and then versus the formula. Again, breast is best, and all of the formula that you see at the stores. Breastfeeding is one of the areas that I'm very passionate about as a mother and with having children and knowing all the research with my history as a postpartum nurse. Here you can see a baby that's sleeping. I'm sure it was a breastfed baby because it's resting peacefully. And I'm introducing the topic. The topic is breastfeeding versus formula feeding. The interest that I have in it is that the research shows that breastfeeding is beneficial not only to the baby but also to the mother. It's a lot of benefits from breastfeeding, including eliminating lowering the risk of breast cancer in mothers, weight loss. It's going to be better brain development in the babies. And my research question is, does educating parents on breastfeeding early increase the chances of continue to breastfeed over formula feeding? As you can see, breastfeeding is the best. You do not want to do formula. And I went ahead and stopped right there. I didn't even go into the justifications because I think it's important to see the value in all of those pictures. Were so distracting. They didn't even come up in the right order. Some was coming in. It was the same pictures. They was going big and small. And it's like, what is she talking about? Because all I can see is like a spinning X. I can see the babies and the formula and what are you trying to tell me? Because all of these things are floating and it's very distracting. So don't do that. Additionally, I think it's important to mention how you wasn't aware of your recording. So the face close to the camera, not being aware of your recording or not, and then not taking the time to start over if you are not ready to record, or if you realize that your recording is not coming across as beneficial or professional. Take the time, go back, re-record it. All right, let's go to the next one. Distracting text that is heavy. So with this, the main thing that we're looking for is with your slideshow presentation, it should be in bullet points. It should be straight to the point. So breastfeeding is considered a beneficial form of feeding newborns because blah, blah, blah. So you would just have basic bullet points, maybe like one sentence, several words. And with that said, it's because you want to have the opportunity to elaborate to your audience without reading off the slides. So you want to make sure that the PowerPoint bullet points are not overwhelming with inundated information that it's hard for the audience to read and too much information to read, because you find yourself reading straight from the slides and not really engaging your audience. And then it also shows that you don't know the information. So you want to present your information in a way that the audience knows that you know what you're talking about because you did the work and the research related to the topic. And you want to make sure you make that eye contact and don't have too many distractors in the presentation. So let's look at what a presentation would look like with distractions of heavily text information. Is breastfeeding versus formula feeding beneficial? My introduction, look at the bigger picture when deciding whether to give your baby breast or formula. Breast milk isn't just a food, it has an important protective function. It reduces the baby's likelihood of diarrhea, gastroenteritis, ear infections, flu, colds, and thrush. Halves of the risks decrease with SIDS if you breastfeed. Formula does not have those odds. So it's important to know the value of why breastfeeding is important. The reason why I chose this topic is that there is no question that breastfeeding is the best option for feeding your baby. All right, I did not want to bore you by reading all of the information on those slides, but again, no, don't do it. The information was so overwhelming. It was so tiny. If you was presenting to your audience, I'm sure they would not be able to see it. And then it was very monotone. You know, it was no engagement, no inflection. You're reading directly from the slides. It's so important to create those short bullet points and deliver the information in an energetic, informative manner that engages the audience and keep them wanting more. You want to keep them engaged and deliver information that is very beneficial and support the information that you've done so much research on. So definitely do not have too many words. And then the picture was covering some of the words. So I do not even want to bore you with reading through all of those informations with the justifications. All right, so now let's look at what the presentation should represent for this week's last assignment submission for the presentation that you will be doing to complete the overall, information that you have been researching related to your proposed research question and the deliverables that you have found as you went through this process. I'm not going to get into a lot of the text of why breast is versus formula is best. I'm just going to give you the highlights of what you should have in each of your slides and what it should look like. And I will break it down more in the other faculty overview video, so you'll be able to see that. So Check that out for more specific details, but right now I just want you to see what the heading should look like in the slides, what just one picture should look like to have a clean presentation, and then just doing a voiceover as you present the information. All right, I'm going to go back one. So again, you're going to have the title, your name, and then the college here. So you want to include your title page. Your next page is going to be your introduction. So you're going to simply introduce your topic, share a few common interests in your topic, and state your clinical question. Again, remember that you're going to be writing in bullet points. So this information may not all be able to be completed on this one slide. You may have an introduction to the topic and the question, and then the next slide may be introduction continued, and you may provide some information of why you chose the topic, or you just may talk about the topic in general as you just put a question of what your clinical question is, and just introduction to the topic. And then again, you can see one little picture related to breastfeeding, which is a sweet little sleeping baby. Justification. So here you're going to talk about two justifications. Simply, the first justification for choosing this topic for the research study is blah, blah, blah. Research shows that this topic is an issue because, and then you go do the same thing with the second justification, and you discuss why it was chosen and the research to support why the issue was chosen as well. Again, one little picture, nothing too over the top, but the big thing that I want you to see is you're going to have these headings to be very specific in what you have in the information that you're going to be providing. The evidence-based practice model should be the next slide in your lineup. Don't forget that all of this information you've already created, so you don't have to go too far to find it. You're pulling this information from the paper that you just wrote, and you just delivered it in a presentation where you are speaking and telling the information for yourself. So discuss your practice model. Tell why you chose it, and remember to add who are the key stakeholders. So remember to add that in there. And this may not have any pictures related to this slide, but you can still be creative with how you present the information. The next slide is going to be the summary of the evidence, and you need to present it in a graph. Refer to the rubric so you can see how this graph can be broken down. So then you're going to have the information on here like this. And you're going to include all of the different categories listed here and discuss each of your articles, the study design, the purpose, the sample size, the methods, and the findings. So make sure you have ample support so you know the information and you're able to present the information well as you discuss the summary of the findings of all three of those articles, and make sure you address each of those categories. The next one is the recommendations. So with this one, you're going to choose two recommendations to enhance the clinical practice with the use of the supportive evidence. So after you've provided all of your research, done your questions, done your research, think of two things that you think should be recommended based on your clinical question, what you found, and what needs to be implemented to make the changes that you thought should be interventions for the proposed outcome. So just briefly touch on two of those. And then your conclusion. Restate how the evidence found that you found supported your clinical question. You're just restating everything that you generally discussed already, what you found, what your beliefs were, and why you're passionate about this particular subject. And again, you can conclude with some nice little pictures. Again, nothing too much over the top. Keep it simple. Remember, the presentation is only about 3 to 5 minutes. So you just really touching base and highlighting each of the areas really quickly. And then include your reference page. Do not forget that page. Make sure it's APA formatting. Again, look at the tips if you have any questions about that, and include that last page. All right, guys. That concludes my presentation. If you have any questions or if you need any support in choosing a process to upload your information. I know we have Screenomatic on there. We have Prezi, that's one of them. Loom.com is a source that you can use. If you need to record it on your cell phone, on your computer, get extremely creative. I just need it in a video format when you upload it, so I will be able to view it in the system. So if you have any questions or concerns or run into any issues with that, definitely reach out to me. And as you can see, I am really congratulating and supporting all of our healthcare heroes. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for being on the front line. And again, if you need anything or run into any difficulties, don't hesitate to reach out to me.